Good morning. My name is Ted Meyerson. I volunteer with AARP Maryland. I'm visiting today with Steve Dougherty, who's with the U.S. Secret Service. And we're going to talk about cryptocurrency scams. Steve, I wonder if you'd say a few things about yourself and get right into it.
Yep. Thank you, sir, for having me on. As you said, my name is Steve Dougherty. I'm with the U.S. Secret Service. I work out of our Global Investigative Operations Center, aka GIOC. So from there, we're seeing these scams, these crimes occur in real time, pretty much across the world. So we really have our thumb on the pulse of the current fraud schemes and cybercrime schemes we're seeing out there in the world.
Wow. So, what are the most common frauds you're seeing out there now?
So, and we agree with this. According with the most recent IC3 stats, the Internet Crime and Complaint Center, the two biggest things we're seeing out there right now are it's called pig butchering. It is a cryptocurrency investment scam, and also still business email compromise is the second largest form of fraud loss that's out there right now. So those are the two big ones we're currently seeing.
How do they operate?
Okay, so a cryptocurrency investment scam, and I want to behoove everybody. Not all crypto is bad. Don't think that, but you need to be very, 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 very careful when investing in a cryptocurrency investment, or you're being, told or recruited to invest in cryptocurrency. So essentially, what the big scam is right now, and it affects everybody, not just elderly. It affects everybody from young people all the way up. It pretty much is indiscriminate in that way. But essentially, you get recruited. Usually, it's via an online means by somebody who gained your trust, whether that's through a developed personal relationship, a private relationship, through some type of job or other recruitment, right? So they gain your trust and they say, hey, I've been making a lot of money investing in this cryptocurrency. Do you want to join me? And they show, elaborate things that show all the money they're making, all the gains they're making. And they get you to start investing your money in this cryptocurrency, right? And they're showing you, the gains you're making, how much money you're making, how your account's tripled over the past week. And then to make it even worse, they encourage you to go out and start recruiting other people, friends, family, or liquidating your pension, getting a second mortgage on your home, all these other things to put more money in once they have all of your available money. Then from there, you're thinking, okay, great. I've made a lot of money. I want to get my money out. They don't let you take your money out, right? It's all it's just in this supposedly real looking cryptocurrency, but they don't allow you to access it. Or if they do, they charge crazy amounts of fees or taxes on whatever supposed gains you had made. So, if you have invested $20,000, they're going to charge you another $15,000 just to get that money out, right? And then even then, they may not give it back to you. So it's this elaborate scam where they're showing you websites where your money is, the account balances, and everything like that. But at the end of the day, they're just keeping and stealing your money, and they don't ever let you get it back.
Well, how do you get your money to these people?
So they're having you do either, there's usually two ways. They either have you directly invest into some cryptocurrency wallet that our bad actors control, and they move the money around that way. So that can be done through any of the major popular cryptocurrency exchanges that are out there. Or they'll essentially just have you wire money from your bank account to another bank account. And you're told then that once it's received into that bank account, they're the ones that are going to do the investment in the cryptocurrency. So, you're having this conversation online with somebody and they say, yeah, great, you're in. Awesome. Wire, $10,000 to my bank account here, and it'll get invested for you. And I'll show you on the platform later on once that money is received. Whereas you're just sending money to a fraudster's bank account and they're taking and doing whatever with it. And they're just showing you a fake screen later on.
Wow, that sounds terrible. So,
Yeah. And
somebody,
really, so to talk about what's driving it, right? What they really want people to know what's behind it is, we're seeing a lot of technology being thrown at these type of fraud schemes. But with pig butchering or cryptocurrency investment scams, there's actually a human trafficking element behind it. That's how they're having such big numbers for it, because they're actually recruiting people, usually from Asian countries, to move to Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, places like that. And they promise these people a great job in tech, housing, a great, salary. However, that's not the case. They get you to move there, and then you essentially become an indentured worker for them, where, you owe them for the travel there, you owe them for the accommodations where they're living and all these other things, and they force you to do these scams rather than an actual real job. So we're seeing these done by the thousands now as they're trafficking all these people to these sort of call centers in Southeast Asia.
Wow, that sounds just terrible.
It really is. It really is. It's definitely a new wrinkle to fraud that we're seeing in these groups that are doing this. So one thing to really kind of focus on to show why this is such a big problem is you have, the first group that did it made a ton of money committing the fraud. And then you have other fraud groups that are doing different types of fraud, and they saw how much money was being made by the one group. So then they adopted the same techniques. So the threat keeps growing. It's sort of like, monkey see, monkey do. They're making a lot of money here. I know I can go make money doing the same thing. I might be able to do it better. So we're seeing a lot more of these attacks now because they're seeing how profitable they can be.
Where is that first contact? How do they get a hold of me?
Yep. So numerous ways, but usually it's through online platforms. We see it a lot with like LinkedIn, other job sites, still, the social media platforms. But then they do something that's kind of, I guess, clever on their part is they want to move you away from that platform as soon as they make that first contact. So one of the big red flags you'll see is if you're on, a dating website or a social media website and you're contacted by somebody and they start to develop a relationship with you, they want to move the conversation to email, text, or another messaging platform like WhatsApp or Signal and get you away from that initial platform. They do that so they can better control the narrative and control the conversation. And also it takes away the security that those platforms have in place to protect people. So now they're moved away. They're doing it on a messaging platform instead. So that's one of the major red flags. If you do meet somebody and you're having conversations about this and they want to move you to another platform to communicate, that's a red flag. Wow,
that sounds almost like a romance scam or something.
It actually is. So it very much is the same playbook. It's crypto fraud, right? It sounds like it's this new, fancy thing with technology, but it really is just old schemes that have been adapted for this stuff. So so they're using the same playbook out of romance scams. They're using the same playbook out of work from home scams, same playbook out of some COVID scams. So they know that playbook works. So they're just switching around the words, So instead of, hey, send me money for a big project I'm working on, it'll help me get home to see you in a romance scam. Instead, it's let's invest in this cryptocurrency, make a lot of money together, then we can be together. So they're using similar tactics.
Are they using crypto ATMs?
Yes, we do see crypto ATMs being used in these fraud schemes around the country. And that instead of you wiring money to a bank account, they'll direct you to a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ATM at a location. It can be a gas station, it can be a mall, wherever they are located in your area, and simply have you deposit cash into that crypto ATM, which then buys cryptocurrency, and have you send the cryptocurrency to whatever wallet they specify in their communications with you.
Smooth operation,
Smooth operations, very easy. And again, that same playbook for romance scams or the work from home scams. And also another thing, the reason why it's so successful is they're using the same networks that they were using in place to launder the money in those scams as well. So they already have all the tools in place to do these. They're just switching the words around.
They're just switching from gift cards to crypto.
Yes. Yep. And that we see a lot. So with the gift card scams, those come in all shapes and sizes and forms, whether it's work. Funny story. So my dad lives in Florida. He's retired. He plays in a softball league. And the president of the softball league, his email got hacked. And I'm sitting there with my dad. It was, I think it was Labor Day. I was down visiting with him. And he shows me this email from the president of the softball league. And it says, hey, can you go buy a bunch of gift cards? I want to hand them out later on, for whatever reason. And it was some fraudulent reason. But my dad looked at it. He's like, this is weird. I'm like, yeah, he's been hacked. Let's get him on the phone. And so we got him on the phone. Turned out he couldn't get into his email account anymore. They changed the password, and they were just sending emails as him requesting all these gift cards to pretty much everybody in the softball league.
Wow.
And luckily enough, like we caught it, we were able to put out a message to the whole softball league saying the president's email has been hacked. Do not listen to any messages he sends. Do not go buy gift cards. Do not do that. If you're ever asked to buy gift cards by somebody you don't really know well, never do it. Just don't. Just say no with that.
All right. We hear a lot about business email compromises.
Mm-hmm.
What are they?
So real simple, a business email compromise, it can affect everybody. It doesn't just have to be a business. It affects individuals as well. And I just kind of talked about that with the gift card scam. But essentially what happens is an email system gets hacked in some way. And our bad actors find really good information and then use that against somebody to get them to send their money where they shouldn't. So for instance, in a real estate transaction, we see it a lot in the real estate world. A title company's email account will get hacked. Okay. Our hackers will figure out that there's a home buyer out there who's going to buy a home and his closing date is in 2 weeks. They'll spoof the title company by creating a spoofed email, and they'll send an email to the home buyer saying, hey, your down payment's coming up. Everything's really exciting. You know, there's a lot going on. Just make sure you wire your down payment to this bank account and do it today. And, you know, it's a real estate transaction. People want to get it done. They don't want to miss their closing. They want to get their house. So they'll do it. And they'll have, you know, since they broke into the email account, they'll have the closing disclosure, the HUD statement, any, you know, information they can use to trick the home buyer that they are legitimate and to send their money to the account they provided. So that's what we see a ton. So always, if you're doing a real estate transaction or sending some large amount of money, make sure you multiple verify where it's going, and always check via phone call with whoever you're sending money to that the information is correct.
Well, what are the latest business email compromises? The real estate stuff, or are there other?
So they're in every industry, and they're expanding out to even more industries. During COVID itself, it was particularly sad. They started targeting food banks, charities, churches, nonprofits, because a lot of these organizations don't have the most robust cybersecurity stance because they can't afford it. So our bad actors targeted them. So we saw those getting hit, which was particularly sad. But now in the world of business email compromise, I say it's industrialized, right? They're using technology now to really make their attacks that much better. They're using artificial intelligence and deep fake technology to convince people to send money. I do a presentation actually when I do this for like people in cybersecurity. I go on ChatGPT. That is an AI platform that you can tell it to do certain things and it'll do it perfectly for you. So I go on and I tell ChatGPT, hey, write me an email to convince a homeowner to send their down payment in cryptocurrency rather than real money. And ChatGPT will make that for me in about 1 second. So then all I have to do is copy and paste that and use that as my attack email. You can use ChatGPT to figure out other ways to scam people, whether it's something very specific or something a little more broad and vague. And then we're seeing deepfakes being used to copy people's voices and use that as a way to convince people to send money to a fraudulent account. I actually was just on the phone with a colleague and she was asking, hey, is this possible? And I'm like, yeah, because studies show that it only takes about 3 seconds of your voice to then be able to clone that and use AI to sound like you over the phone. We're seeing that with a lot of victim in need schemes. So, you know, a grandparent or a mother, father, aunt, or uncle will get a call late at night, right? Sounding like it's from, you know, their child, their grandchild, their niece, nephew, what have you, saying that they're in trouble, right? I need help. You know, I got arrested or I'm in the hospital. I need you to wire money to an account. Or we even see them, I need you to go to a Bitcoin ATM and buy, 4 Bitcoin and send it to this wallet. We see that. And they're using the cloned voice and AI to make you sound like that. So, one thing to definitely be on the lookout. If you get a call, late at night or at an odd time from a relative who sounds like they're in need, make sure you verify that that's actually what's going on. Call the person back, hang up, call the person, call, the parents, call somebody else to verify that what's going on is actually what's going on. Don't send money.
I can only shake my head.
It's tremendous. It's mind blowing.
Is this a global impact or just in the United States?
So the United States is the biggest target, right? Because we're the most financially developed. But it is a global issue. business email compromise and these type of fraud schemes have affected about 176 countries around the world. Most of the bad actors, the actual perpetrators of these fraud schemes, are generally overseas, right? The higher percentage are overseas, so it makes it harder for prosecution. But these guys are globally located. Doesn't matter. West Africa, Eastern Europe, Russia, Southeast Asia, they're everywhere.
Are you able to ever get the bad guys?
We are able to. So, by information sharing, by, you guys telling your story to us, what happened, we're able to take that information and we can exploit it, right? Because there's always threads, whether it's tracking all the money, even with cryptocurrency, we can trace and track cryptocurrency across the world. It doesn't really matter. We can trace it, track it, and figure out who actually received it. So by financially, if we track that money, you just keep staying on it. You keep tracking the money from one account to another, we can find out who the bad guys are eventually. It takes time. But then on the cyber side, how the actual compromise or attack happened, there's always little threads we can pull to run our investigation and build our investigation. And we do catch the bad guys. We do get to them eventually. It's just there's a lot of them.
Can you recover any of the money?
Yeah, if we act quickly. So timing is of the essence when it comes to these. If you send money and believe you were defrauded, you need to act immediately. First thing you do is notify your bank. Secondly, then you notify law enforcement. You want your bank notified first because they can send out wire recalls or ACH recalls, what have you, to get that money back. And then we can go out also and seize it, get it surrendered, and help the banks get the money back as well. But time is of the essence. And from my unit in the JIOC, we do a lot of rapid response. It's one of the things we pride ourselves on. We're very agile. We work very quickly. And in the past 5 years or so, we've stopped and returned $291 million to victims.
Wow.
Right? It's a lot of money, but that's a drop in the bucket, really. That's only about 1/5 of what's actually been reported to us. So we've only gotten about 20% back for victims over these fraud schemes because it's gotten faster. We used to have, about 72 hours where we could really kind of figure out where the money is and try to get some money back. Now with cryptocurrency and other things involved in this, the money's moving a lot faster. It's now moving within 12 hours or up to 24 hours from the time it's lost.
Well, how does this affect seniors more than anybody else?
So our threat actors are smart. They know where the money is, who has expendable income. They know that. So, rarely do we see it, but we still see it. They're not attacking, young teens in these fraud schemes because they know they don't have much money. But as we go through our lives and, work our long, hard careers, we've saved up all that money. There's a lot of wealth there. So it makes them prime targets for these type of fraud schemes because our threat actors know the juice is going to be worth the squeeze, right? They want to make as much money as possible from their schemes because, that's what they want to do. So they're going to target who has the money. And they know that elderly population generally has a little more money at hand than, say, somebody in their teens or 20s.
This has been very interesting. This has been frightening.
It is a little scary. I'm not going to lie, but there are ways obviously to protect yourself. Be wary of everything. If it sounds too good to be true, it generally is. And be very, very careful if you're recruited to invest in any type of cryptocurrency. Treat everything as a skeptic in that realm because a lot of it is fraud, and there's a lot of fraud out there.
Thank you very much for this. I know that this is going to be very helpful to people and hopefully save people a lot of problem and a lot of money.
Yeah, save lives. I mean, this is not just a financial problem. We've seen this affect people's well-being in their lives. So
I can appreciate that. If I lost my house, where would I go?
Exactly.
So this has been wonderful, and I certainly appreciate it. And I'm thanking you for AARP and the Fraud Watch Network. See you again.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.